Hey everyone. So what I'd like to do is use TinkerCAD to try to make a hook that looks something like this brass kind of a screw hook that you might screw into a wall or a cabinet and that you might hang a coffee cup on. Um, we can use the shapes in TinkerCAD to make something that is close to this. It won't have the threads on it, but we may not need the threads for this. So the idea is we want to um, use a torus, which is a donut, and then we'll use a box to cut out a quarter of the torus. We'll use a cylinder on this end right here. So cylinder, torus, a box to kind of cut out a quarter of the torus, and then we'll use some spheres to round everything off. So let's go ahead and let's put a torus into our programming area, and let's open this up and let's make the radius of the torus 40, and let's make the radius of the tube 10. Now, when I was with you in class, we made the radius 5, and it really doesn't matter what the radius is. And let's run this to see what it looks like. Ooh, that is a big, thick donut. Now, what I want to do next is I want to add a box. And the box is going to be used to cut out a quarter of the torus. And I want the box to be as wide as my donut or torus is in both directions. So I'm going to make my width 80. I'm going to make the length 80. And I'm not going to change the top. Maybe I will change it to 25, make it a little bit thicker than my donut. And let's run this to see what it looks like. Perfect. And now I want to move my box so it covers just 1/4 of the torus. And the move box is the move block is one of the purple blocks. And so I'm going to move it. I'm going to use the radius. I'm going to move it 40 in the positive X direction, and I'm going to move it 40 in the positive Y direction. So this box will then move up and to the right. And I want to make it transparent. So I'm going to make the box transparent. And then to make it into a whole, I need to create a group out of those things. So let's run this again and see how it looks. Perfect. And so I'm going to rotate it. Now what I want to do is I want to have a cylinder that either goes off this way or goes off that way. It makes no difference. I want my cylinder to have a radius of 10. So it's the same as the radius of the tube. So I'm going to bring my cylinder down here. The radius is already 10. That's perfect. I'm going to make the height 40. And let's run this to see what it looks like. So what I need to do is I need to turn my cylinder, rotate it so it's flat. And that rotate block is a purple block that says rotate on it. And we can rotate it. Let's see, here is the front. So we could rotate it around the x-axis, and then we'll move it up away from us. So the x-axis is chosen. We'll rotate it 90 degrees. So let's run that and see what it does. And now we just need to move it away from us in the positive Y direction. And so I need to move it at least the radius of the donut or torus, which is 40, but I also need to move it at least my cylinder height. So let's try 80 to see what that does first. That will probably be a little bit too far. Yep, too far. So we don't want to do 80. We just need to do half of that height. So that would be 40, which is the radius of my torus, and then 60 would be half the height. Let's run that and see what it does. Perfect. So now the only thing we need left to do is we need to put a sphere here, and a sphere there. So I'm going to go up here to the top. I'm going to grab my sphere, and I want my sphere to have a radius of 10, which it probably will by default. And I'm going to move my first sphere. I'm going to move this sphere 40 plus 40 more. So I'm going to move it 80 in the y direction. So let's see what this does. There's the cylinder, and there's the sphere. Then I want to move another sphere just 40 in that same direction. So I'll grab this sphere and attach it to the bottom. I will grab a move block, and I just want to move this 40 in the y direction. Let's see what this does. Perfect. And I got one more sphere I want to put over here, so it's going to look like a question mark, isn't it? So I'm going to grab that sphere and attach it there, and I need a purple move block, so I'll go back down here and get a move block. And I want to move this in the x direction. The x direction is that direction. I'm looking at the front of my piece, and so the x direction goes off to the right. So I'm going to move this in the x direction 40 units. Let's see what this does. There's one sphere, two spheres, and there's the other sphere. So this looks good. So the only thing that is left to do is let's create a group out of all of this, which you'll have to do before we 3D print it. And if you'd like to make the color all one solid color, let's make this like a bright red. And so there's the block, cylinder, sphere, 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 and red. And there's my hook. Follow this, give this a try, make some modifications to it, and I hope this video is helpful.